Now, let me turn to the new actions that we will take in response to the 48 recommendations in Madame Arbour's report. First and foremost, Madame Arbour lays out what I refer to as procedural safeguards. These are two. First, she recommends that by the end of 2022, I inform Parliament of any recommendations that we do not intend to implement, and I commit to doing so. Second, in response to Madame Arbour's final recommendation, I will appoint an external monitor mandated to oversee the implementation of these recommendations. The external monitor will report directly to me and will publish regular public reports. Our response to all of these recommendations will be clear, open, and collaborative. I can announce as well that we are immediately beginning to work on or continuing efforts already underway to implement 17 or just over 1/3 of these recommendations. Je peux annoncer que nous commençons immédiatement
that we are
à
immediately
travailler
starting to work
poursuivre les
or
efforts
pursuing the
déjà en
efforts
cours
already
pour
in
mettre
course
en œuvre 17 de ces
to put in
recommandations,
to implement
soit
17 of these
d'un tiers.
recommendations,
Some
more
of the
than a
most
third.
important recommendations require further analysis, planning, and consultation, and we will develop plans to address these remaining recommendations as quickly as possible, and we will report to Parliament on our progress. I will now discuss the recommendations that will address immediately, either through new efforts or by strengthening programs already underway. Let me address some of the key areas. First, Madame Arbour recommends a number of reforms to the Sexual Misconduct Response Center, an important resource for our employees and members who have experienced sexual misconduct. Madame Arbour's 12th and 13th recommendations are that we rename the SMRC to the Sexual Misconduct Resource Center, and that the SMRC's role should evolve to primarily provide resources for complainants, victims, and survivors of sexual misconduct. I accept these recommendations. Madame Arbour's 14th recommendations is that the SMRC facilitate immediate access to legal assistance to victims of sexual misconduct across the country. And I also accept this recommendation. We will make legal assistance available to victims across Canada on the full range of issues related to sexual misconduct in the Canadian Forces. J'accepte également et je vais mettre en œuvre les recommandations 15, 17 et 18
recommendations 15, 17, and 18 related to improvements to the structure on the SMRC. I will now raise the issue of the changes recommended for recruitment and training recommendations in the CAF, more specifically the recommendations 20 and 22. I accept all these recommendations. We will create probation periods to better evaluate recruits, and we will externalize certain aspects of recruitment and increase competency, professional skills for recruiters, and make sure that problem attitudes regarding the culture and the issues related to gender be
Next, let me
taken into
discuss
account.
recommendations relating to promotions, selection, succession planning, and career management. I want to say, first off, that since my appointment, I have chosen to add external evaluation to the promotion process for senior leaders. And this process will serve as a foundation to further reforms in promotion and selection. Madame Arbour's important 32nd recommendation states that in fulfilling my responsibility in improving the promotions of general and flag officers, I should be assisted by a senior civilian advisor not currently a member of the defense team, and work to ensure that general and flag officers reflect the demographic composition of our country. I accept this recommendation. J'accepte également les
I also accept recommendations 33 and 35 from Madame Arbour to improve the evaluation and certification process for general officers and other flag officers. And finally, Madame Arbour's recommendations concerning inside and outside surveillance.
41 and 42 state that the Assistant Deputy Minister of Review Services should brief me directly on all investigations related to sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and leadership culture in the defense team, and on statistics and activities related to other particular types of investigations. I accept these recommendations. Madame Arbour's 45th recommendation is that the Chief Professional Conduct and Culture post a public online database of research and policies relating to sexual harassment and misconduct, gender, sexual orientation, race, diversity and inclusion, and culture change. I accept this recommendation and we will work towards implementing it. Et comme je l'ai déjà mentionné, j'accepte les recommandations
47 and 48. I will inform Parliament of all the recommendations that we choose to not implement, and I will name an external monitor to ensure the implementation, and he will report to me.
In addition to the recommendations that we are acting on immediately, I will now address 3 other sections of Madame Arbour's report. These 3 sections contemplate systemic change, and in the coming months, we will study, analyze, and develop plans to respond to them. Madame Arbour's 5th recommendation is that the criminal code sexual offenses should be entirely removed from the jurisdiction of the military justice system as she has outlined today, and that they should be prosecuted in civilian criminal courts. This is a system-changing recommendation, and we will examine it in earnest, all while Madame Arbour's interim recommendation remains in effect. La recommandation 29 souligne la nécessité de régler les problèmes de culture qui existent depuis longtemps sur le campus du Collège militaire royal de Kingston
on the RMC, Kingston, and Saint Jean campuses. None of our officer cadets should be harassed or discriminated against while they're at a military college. Canadians should be assured that over the coming months, we will work to create a learning environment that's safer and more inclusive for our officer cadets, namely by adopting Madame Arbour's recommendation to widen the scope for the interviews to include officer cadet experiences in sexual misconduct or discrimination.
Finally, recommendations 36 through 40 address the clear need to improve the diversity of senior leaders in the organization, a goal that is near and dear to my heart. I absolutely agree that we must take steps to set and meet clear goals for diversity in our military to ensure that this crucial institution represents the demographic composition of our great country. Now let me discuss the path forward following today's release of this important report. I have been in touch with Madame Arbour regularly since my appointment. I can confirm that we are aligned in terms of our views of this problem and how we should address it. While I have listed 17 of Madame Arbour's recommendations that are in progress or which will be acted on immediately, This is just the beginning of our response. We will act quickly to analyze, review, and plan our responses to each and every one of Madame Arbour's recommendations. I will personally be evaluating whether and when we can implement these recommendations efficiently and effectively. Il ne fait aucun doute que nous allons travailler avec les groupes
that we will work with the survivor and victim groups throughout our pathway, and I will meet the involved parties in the coming weeks to understand and hear their viewpoint on the recommendations in this report.
That our institution acts on the recommendations from Madame Arbour and other external reviewers. We did create the External Comprehensive Reviews Implementation Committee, or ECRIC, this year. ECRIC will coordinate and oversee our action plan based on these reports and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. Further, we will keep Canadians informed about this important work through quarterly briefings and the Pathways to Progress online tracker. This tracker is publicly available. It provides an overview of each of our lines of effort around culture and conduct and the change related to each. Now let me conclude. Last December, General Eyre and former Deputy Minister Jody Thomas and I offered a sincere and heartfelt apology to those who have suffered from sexual misconduct and harassment in the service of our country. I believed then, and I believe now, that apologies are most meaningful when they are coupled with action.
I will continue to work hard every day with General Eyre and Deputy Minister Matthews to deliver results. I thank Madame Arbour for her report that was complete and detailed and will be the keystone of our efforts to change the culture in the future. And I thank all members of the Armed Forces and of DND who have contributed to the efforts of Madame Arbour.
The time for action is now. And together, we will deliver reforms that stand the test of time to strengthen, grow, and improve this crucial institution. And if I could close with a quote from Madame Arbour herself, meaningful change will rest on the political will and determination of the civilians who oversee the Canadian Armed Forces. Still, it will not happen without the support of CAF leaders and ultimately the goodwill of all of its members who are every day entrusted with the duty to protect our country and who do so on our behalf. Thank you. Miigwech, merci.